At Lowe's, get up to 35% off select major appliances. Plus, members get free delivery, install, and more when you spend $2,500 on select major appliances. Lowe's, we help, you save. Valid through 2/25 while supplies last. Selection varies by location. Excludes Massachusetts, Maryland, Wisconsin, New Jersey, Florida. Loyalty program subject to terms and conditions. Visit Lowe's.com/terms for details. Subject to change.
Visit your nearby Lowe's on East 17th Avenue in Hutchinson.
Hello and welcome back to the Primal Potential Podcast. You might be wondering where the intro is, and there is no normal intro because we are in a 10-episode series called The Vault that is all about consistency. Every time I talk with clients who are struggling, listeners who are struggling, they focus so much on what they want to do or change, but when I ask them, hey, how would you rate yourself in the skill of consistency, or what have you done? What have you pursued to intentionally develop this skill? I usually get a little bit of dead air time. The good news is consistency is a skill in the same way that learning a language is a skill. And we need to build this skill if we want to remain consistent, if we want to be able to sink our teeth into the behavioral changes that we want to make, whether it's in the area of health or finance or fitness or business, relationships, anything at all. If you don't have this skill well developed, you're going to struggle. And we can't have a real conversation about consistency without naming the trap that so many people are getting destroyed by. And that is procrastination. We have become, I'd say, world class at justifying delay. Whether it's our task list or a big goal or a shift or a decision or a conversation, we're real good at it. Expert level. If there was a prize for talking ourselves into doing something later, we'd have a lot of contenders. We can dress up the idea of delay and make it sound like a good idea. Justified, logical, even when it's not, especially when it's not. And that is the slippery slope. We convince ourselves, yeah, that makes sense, when it's actually the reason we are frustrated, the reason we are overwhelmed, the reason we lack confidence in ourselves, the reason we feel like we're always trying, but never really getting where we want to go. Procrastination has become our operating system. It's not a one-time choice. It's become a default setting. It's an option that's always on the table. We trust our pledges for tomorrow. We believe it. We sell ourselves the story that tomorrow makes more sense and today just isn't a fit. Today just isn't the day to cook that healthy meal. Today just isn't the day for the workout, but tomorrow is. And what that tells us is the problem isn't simply the delay. In fact, the problem isn't primarily the delay. The crux of the problem is in the belief system, the belief that tomorrow is a good idea, that tomorrow is better, that procrastination is harmless. There's no real cost to kicking the can down the road, but that's not true. Procrastination is not neutral. Okay, here's what I need you to hear. When we think procrastination, we think delay, defer. But it's not just delay. That's the lie that we sell ourselves. It's actually the lie other people have sold to us too. Like, defer your student loans. Hi, that's not just delay. If you think that's just delay, there's some fundamental economics lessons you might want to learn. Procrastination is not just delay, it's a tax. It's a burden. Not only is it a decision to make the next moment or the next day heavier than it has to be, but it's the decision to carry more than you need to carry over and over and over and over. And then you wonder why you don't feel free. You wonder why everything feels overwhelming. You wonder why you're so quick to frustration or to resignation. I've shared this quote before, and I know I've shared it with a lot of my clients. It's from Bishop Rosie O'Neill. Don't know her, so she turns out to be a real scumbag. I just like the quote. Procrastination is the arrogant assumption that God owes you another chance to do tomorrow what he gave you the opportunity to do today. And that's not a quote to make you feel ashamed. It's a quote to give you clarity. There is an invisible cost to procrastination. This is the way that I like to think about it in my own life, because I come up against this every single day. Every single day. In fact, right now, as I record this tomorrow, I tried to debate myself to do it later, to do it this evening, to do it this afternoon, to get it done this weekend, because I have to be out the door in 30 minutes for a small group that I'm a part of here locally. And I had this story that I don't have time to do it this morning. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I just don't have as much time as I would normally take when you account for dilly-dallying and hemming and hawing and wasting time and checking Facebook or whatever else. The way that I approach this tendency to think later, later's better, later's a good idea, later is justifiable. I tell myself that every single day I am presented with dozens of opportunities that I will use either to make tomorrow easier or harder. And I don't even necessarily mean literally tomorrow. The next time I'm tired, the next time I'm stressed, the next time I'm overwhelmed, the next time I need clarity, the next time I have to make a decision. That's your metaphorical tomorrow. Every day I'm handed opportunities to make tomorrow either easier or harder. And what I know is that tomorrow's already going to have enough curveballs. It's going to have its own chaos, its own interruptions, its own tech issues, its own sick kids, its own bad moods, its own last minute meetings. So every time I say I'll do it later, I'm just stacking a task on tomorrow's weight that I don't even know yet. I might think, oh, tomorrow is pretty clear on my calendar, but I've lived long enough to know maybe not. Just this morning, one of my children walked downstairs in what should have been like an uneventful morning, walked downstairs with something all over their shirt, splattered like they played with a hose. Well, there was quite a mess upstairs for me to clean up. Unexpected, and it only takes 15 minutes, but every day has so many of those things. So if I think I can do it tomorrow, I'm just making tomorrow heavier. I'm adding to the weight that it's going to bring on its own that I don't know about. We're just stacking tasks on top of tomorrow's weight. Not making tomorrow heavier out of malice, but out of habit and out of naivete. It's not just a reactive pattern. It's the way we've trained ourselves to think, and maybe even the way you reward yourself, like, oh, look at me. Now I'm done with today's list because I moved everything to tomorrow. Look at that. I'm free to do whatever I want to do this afternoon. When I'm tempted to put something off, including recording this podcast, I ask myself, like, hey, I'm standing here at this crossroads of either making later easier or harder. Which do I want to choose? Am I making tomorrow easier or harder? If I take 5 minutes to do this thing now, that's 5 minutes I don't have to try to find tomorrow. Last night I sat at my computer, the kids were in bed, and there was one remaining thing on my list, but it was the type of thing I dislike the most, administrative tasks. I had to log into my son's life insurance account and make a change. And I just really don't enjoy that because it's like, oh, what's the password for this thing? And is it going to be clear and easy? Or is it going to be something I then have to make a phone call about? Oh, you can't make that change online. You got to send a letter in the mail. And I had been pushing it off for a while. And yesterday I was like, I just don't want to carry this into tomorrow. Tomorrow's already got weight of its own. If I do it now, I make tomorrow easier. If I push it off, I make tomorrow harder. And it's not just, if you ever put something on your credit card and you're like, it's $10, it's no big deal. But it's not the $10 that's the problem. It's the fact that you do that 3 times a day and sometimes 7 times a day. And sometimes it's $10 and sometimes it's $30 and sometimes it's $100. And at the end of the month, you feel like you can't breathe. That's what we do with procrastination. It's the same thing. And then we're so frustrated by our overwhelm. We're so frustrated by our short fuse. And in large part, we created it because of this operating system called procrastination. Procrastination is often volunteering difficulty for your future self. You were just saying like, yeah. I want to make tomorrow harder. I want to make next week more stressful. I want to be overwhelmed when I have to revisit this thing on my list. I don't want to be somebody who constantly makes my life harder, right? Because I'm not a lazy person. You're not a lazy person. I'm mostly not disorganized. But that difficulty comes just because we default to later, not now. And we justify it and we make ourselves feel like it was the logical decision, even when it is the destructive decision. Last night, I'm telling you, we have these opportunities in small ways and big ways 1,000,000 times a day. It was the life insurance thing. It was also packing my son's lunch for today. So my kiddo goes to school 2 half days a week and send him with a lunch. And I know that I have more than enough time on Friday morning to pack his lunch. Probably only takes 10 minutes, right? Maybe. But I also know that the more of those things that I can do the night before, the lighter the load for the following day. So I absolutely could be like, yeah, I don't need to pack his lunch at 9:00 on Thursday night. I can do it on Friday morning. But I chose to do it on Thursday night because it's just one thing that lifts the burden. In the same way that when I order my task list for work the night before, I've just lifted the burden slightly. When I have an extra 20 minutes and the kids aren't home yet, and I can get one thing off tomorrow's list, I lighten the load. And wouldn't it be better for that to be the operating system instead of an operating system of, I can do this later. This isn't urgent right now. I don't really have time today. Where are the opportunities? Be proactive about it. Where are the opportunities to lighten tomorrow's load, to make next week easier, to make my decisions more straightforward, and to remove barriers from how I want to show up tomorrow, right? Because it's not just about those reactive moments. The deeper transformation happens when we start looking ahead and going, where do I have an opportunity to lift tomorrow's burden today? That is a shift in the operating system. We don't do this because we have to, right? And that's the thing. We're typically operating from urgency. If I don't have to do it now, I'm not going to do it now. If it doesn't need to be done now, I work really well under pressure. Spoiler, no, you don't. No, you don't. You've just gotten really comfortable procrastinating. And when you're forcing your hand, procrastination isn't on the table. But that doesn't mean you work well under pressure. It means that procrastination has become your operating system. What can I pull from tomorrow and execute today and make life easier for future me? To reduce friction, to live with more intention. Research shows that the average adult procrastinates for 2 to 3 hours a day. And I haven't met this average adult specifically, but these are also the people who probably tell you they don't have time. They don't have time to do that thing they want to do that would be fun. They don't have time to eat healthy. They don't have time to work out regularly. They don't have time to get on top of that messy closet that's been driving them crazy. So before we accept the story that we don't have time, we need to look at the time that we have lost to procrastination or delaying things for longer than it would take to just do them, right? How many times have you approached a task and thought about it to the point where the time you've spent approaching the task and thinking about it exceeds the amount of time it'll take to just get it done, right? We carry mental clutter for days or weeks or months or longer that could be cleared in an hour. You don't need more time. You need less hesitation. Let's talk about the real cost of this. The real cost of procrastination, I'm just going to say it out loud and it's going to hurt. The real cost of procrastination is the life you're not living. We need it one more time. The real cost of procrastination is the life you're not living. The way that you are keeping yourself from how it could be if you would stop procrastinating. Procrastination doesn't just make your day harder. It keeps you from the life you say you want. It's the silent reason you haven't achieved your goals yet. It's the invisible barrier between the desire you feel and the results you crave. Every time you delay that hard thing, the healthy thing, the brave thing, the bold thing, you reinforce the belief that the version of you who follows through is optional. And it's not urgent, and it's not today. So you start to live with chronic striving, chronic longing, chronic restlessness, chronic resentment, frustration, pressure, this aching feeling that you know there's more, but you're stuck. You're not stuck, right? But you're allowing procrastination to cost you progress. So the cost of procrastination isn't just clutter or stress or a heavier to-do list tomorrow. It's missing the experience of what your life could be. Hi, that's a big deal. But here's the good news. You don't have to overhaul everything. You just have to stop stacking your life with delays. Stop with all the carryover. Tomorrow. I know I said I was going to do these things, but I'm going to move them to tomorrow. I'm going to move them to Wednesday, maybe next week, maybe after this thing happens. You have what it takes. The gap between where you are and where you want to be, it's a whole lot smaller when you stop carrying all this crap into tomorrow that you could have done today. It's usually not your rebellion that's holding you back. It's your procrastination. It's become an operating system that you've unconsciously installed, the belief that later is fine, later is better, later is justified, later is harmless, and it's not. So whether it's the meal you were going to prep or the email you were going to send or the workout you were going to do or the budget you were going to create, the rest you were going to prioritize, ask yourself, what chance do I have today to make tomorrow easier? And listen, we can talk about this all day long, but that's not the same as you doing something with it. So if you're done just listening to ideas that land but don't change you, I'm serious about inviting you into the consistency course. And maybe that's just another thing you're procrastinating on. I know I need to change something, but I don't know what to change. You don't have to join it, but at least do this. If you've been thinking about it and not pulling the trigger because I'm busy right now, I don't think I'll follow through, will you just email me directly and tell me what that is? Maybe it's valid and I'll be like, yeah, you're right. It's not for you, because I don't want to work with somebody that doesn't want to work with me. That's a guarantee. But maybe it's a bunch of BS that's holding you back. So if you've been thinking about it and butting yourself to stay exactly where you are, I'm not going to ask you to join the consistency course. I'm going to ask you to email me, elizabeth@primalpotential.com, and just tell me why. At least that will be a meaningful pattern interrupt for today. If you're enjoying this series, I would love it if you would share it, if you would make sure you're subscribed to this podcast. And if you haven't yet, and you could take 5 seconds, okay, maybe it's not 5 seconds, but it's not more than a minute to leave a rating and review of this show. It really goes a long way to pushing it out into the algorithm of people who don't know it exists yet. So if you're finding this valuable, I would love for you to do that. And I'm going to head to my inbox because I'm looking forward to seeing your thoughts and reservations on why you haven't done something different to help you move the needle, get into action, have accountability and support so that you're not staying in the same struggle, not for another year, not even for another month. See you on the next episode. Better yet, see you in my inbox.